We are a funny breed. People that run businesses, we're not normal. And that's great because that drives us forward, but it also then kind of maybe takes us away from feeling that we can access the rest of society are able to access.
Welcome to the Mind Over Money podcast with Jessen James, the only podcast you need to tune into each week to grow your personal, professional, and financial life. Join entrepreneur, investor, and multi-award-winning international speaker Jessen James as he shows you how to take control of your mind to create the life, income, and career you deserve. Here's your host, Jessen James.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Mind Over Money podcast. And today I am super excited because I'm going to be talking with an expert, and I'll explain who that is in a second, on a topic that's dear to my heart. Now, look, if you're listening to this, if you're a parent or you've got kids, you're going to really enjoy this episode, because one of the things that we struggle with as entrepreneurial people, or even if you're in business right now or thinking of getting into businesses, is time. A lack of it, and sometimes we compromise time with our loved ones over money, So I have an incredible guest to come and speak to you today. He is the founder of Dad's Mean Business, which is specifically set up to support fathers who are entrepreneurial people, but also to help them work less, get paid more, and spend time with the people that they're actually doing it for. This person has built and bought and sold multiple businesses. He's helped consult lots of business owners, and hopefully you'll get some value from this incredibly talented man, the one and only Gordon Grant. How you doing, Gordon?
I'm good. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. When you said that you wanted to get your message out, it really resonated with me, which is why we've got you on the show today, because being a dad myself, having been there in the past where, my kids are asking me where I am, where have I been all day, why am I always at work? It struck a chord with me back in the past, so it made me realize that I needed to change. Because sometimes we can expect our families to just adapt to our working style. Well, our daddy's working. That's the standard response. Well, daddy's got to go to work. Daddy's got, this is why I thought when you said you wanted to talk about this, it's something I'm really passionate about, because there's loads of people listening to this right now that maybe you're a father, or maybe you know someone who's a father right now that would massively benefit from what we're about to talk about, because I think it isn't spoken about enough, and unfortunately, I like to say it how it is on the Mind Over Money podcast. Men are predisposed to be providers, where we provide for our families, okay? This isn't about, being stereotypical or whatever it might be. It's built into who we are, into our DNA. We want to protect, we want to serve, we want to, provide. And the catch-22 is that we need to go and work to provide for the ones that we love, but we can't give them what they really want, which is us. So before we go into some of the tips and advice that you can give to anyone right now, if they're a parent, I think some of the tactics work for mums as well, I guess.
Absolutely.
But I know you work specifically with dads. But before we go into all of that, what's your story? Who is Gordon? Then tell them in a nutshell, who are you and what prompted you to even embark on this journey of helping dads anyway?
Well, it's interesting. So I come from a tech background. I would say I'm more of a geek than a nerd, because nerds don't get girlfriends.
You hear that? Nerds don't get girlfriends.
Geeks do. I love tech. But so I set up my first business when I was about 23.
Yeah.
Set up as a consultant, helping some businesses. I was working for Toyota. I decided, they asked me to go in and replace their complete email system in Toyota Europe. Did that. Worked for some other companies. Then a family-run business asked me to go in as a consultant for 5 months to help them transform from being a printing business to a software business. And after 5 months, they said, actually, do you want to come on board and be an employee? And after 3 years of working for myself, I thought, yeah, let's do that. Yeah, it seems that take a bit of stress, take all the paperwork away of running a company. Let's do that. So we did that, started to turn that company around. And then in 2010, the family retired, and the managing director and I bought the family out, and then we took on that company, and then we accelerated the growth from being a commercial printing company with a bit of software to being a full-on software company.
Oh, wow.
Wind forward to 2018, we built that to a software company with 50 employees on 3 continents, working for retailers all over the world. Nice. Done some amazing kind of pitches and deals. I remember going in to pitch IKEA in their head office in Sweden, and they were down to the final 4. So it was Microsoft, Oracle, a company called Lexmark who make printers, and us.
Yes.
Microsoft took more people to their pitch than I employed in my company at that point. It was like phenomenal. And yet we won that business. So we won the IKEA for the business for IKEA. So that was all great. And things on the outside were going really, really well. I was traveling the world. I was flying all over the place. I started off working for that business when I was young, free and single. So time was my own. But then I met my wife and we got married, obviously. And then our boys were born and time pressure started to creep in. So the change in my lifestyle from the beginning of working with that company in 2002 to then 2018 was quite stark, and things just changed a lot. But that was the background.
Well, your life does change, I suppose, when you have children. It does. And I think it goes back to that whole, what got you to where you are doesn't keep you there. And what got you to where you were at that level of success, you were young, free and single, all that kind of stuff. But if you carried on doing that, I guess the people you were doing it for probably would suffer a lot.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So what happened next? What did you need to do? What did you decide to do?
So we got to the point where one Sunday afternoon, my wife called to me and said, remember, we're going to see so-and-so this afternoon, family friends. And I just thought, I can't go. And she called again and said, listen, did you hear me? We're going. I said, I can't go. She said, why not? I said, I don't know. I can't go. I can't face going to see these people who we really know and like.
Yeah.
And she said, okay, well, let's cancel that. So I called my business partner that evening and said, I need to take some time off. I felt like my whole world had just come tunnel vision. I literally felt like I had tunnel vision and I could only see in front of me. And we realized that I'd got to the point where I was externally, it looked like I was very successful, lovely house, lovely family, lovely holidays, successful business, lots of business travel, lots of expense account stuff. And yet I realized that I had lost my own identity.
Wow.
I was just following the hamster wheel. I was stuck in a rut, and actually it was now affecting me mentally as well. And that was a big wake-up call to my wife and myself. We realized something needs to change here. So that was the moment when I actually looked in the mirror and I just thought, I don't know who that guy is. I don't know who's looking back at me. And I was quite surprised. So that was the kind of the wake-up moment.
I don't think you're alone there. I really don't. I think there's plenty of people, like maybe you're listening to this or watching this right now and you can resonate with what you just said, because a lot of us, we're so busy trying to figure out everybody else that we don't even know who we are anymore. We lose connection with ourselves and who we are, our morals, our values, who we stand for. And, some of the things you just said there about, and I think this is common for a lot of dads in business anyway, that externally they need to look like they got it together. And some of them do a really good job of that, but inside they're broken. They're falling apart. They're stressed. They're worried. They're overwhelmed. They don't have any time for themselves even. Let alone give it to their kids. So all this kind of stuff. There's all these things going on, and yet, again, going back to the whole provider, being a man, you feeling that you need to go out and do everything yourself. You don't want to ask for help, do you? Because often that's seen as a sign of weakness.
Absolutely.
So knowing that something needs to change, especially for your two boys.
Yeah.
And their boys, they want to hang out with their dad. Knowing that something needed to change. So what did that thing become for you then? What was that decision? Like, something needed to change. So what was it?
Well, at that point, we decided that I was working too hard, and I had a long conversation with my business partner, and we decided it was time to exit that business. We'd built it to a sufficient level where it was time to just say, actually, we can hand this over to somebody else in a good shape, but we need to move out. He's older, so he was looking to maybe semi-retire. So we then kicked off a process of exiting that business. We did that. I exited that business 3 weeks before lockdown in 2020. So everybody else was at home as well. So I was sitting at home, and it was interesting because I thought I'd solved it. I absolutely thought I'd nailed it. Like, great, I've got some money in my pocket.
Yeah.
I'm sitting at home, I'm seeing my wife and my kids. We've now got a dog, a young dog. This is just great. And I thought I'd absolutely nailed this. And then about 3 months later, I'm back at the doctor, just saying,
oh, wow,
this isn't any better. I'm still in the same place. And that was a difficult thing because I thought I'd sorted it and I hadn't. And
you mean mentally?
Mentally, I thought I'd fixed the problem. What I'd actually done was I had come up with what looked like a really neat solution. And again, looking from the outside in, it was like, he's nailed it. He's sorted out that problem, which was a business. He's now setting himself up with a different kind of life. But that wasn't the problem. I realized there was a lot of mindset stuff going on, a lot of stuff that I had wrong in my mindset. And it was when a dad said to me at school, he said, so what are your hobbies? I'd never met this guy before. We're just chatting. And I looked at him and he said,
didn't have any.
Hobbies, the things you do in your free time. I was like, that's strike two. I don't have any hobbies or free time. It's just all about work or family. And I realized that I needed to change. And then through lockdown, I started to go for walks with other dads. And it turned out I wasn't the only one. I thought I was the only guy in the world who was struggling with this pressure. And that's when I realized, well, if I'm not the only one and other guys have got it, somebody needs to take a grip of this. So that's when I decided I need to start getting help and learn and get training so that I could be the one to actually then help other guys.
And I love this because I meet a lot of coaches, mentors, trainers who haven't necessarily walked the walk. You've been uber successful before in starting up businesses and exiting businesses. And you've been successful in working on your own mindset around being a dad and a provider and an entrepreneur. And I think that's a very rare combination because, most people are either one or the other. They're either great dads and crap at business or great at business and crap at being a dad. And you've kind of like brought something together that helps people move forward with this. Now, one thing I know, because you mentioned the word mindset, there's a lot of people listening to this right now. Dads, if you're listening, please hear us out here, okay? It's okay not to be okay, first and foremost, okay? Because you mentioned about, going back to the doctors and saying like, I thought I figured this out and something was still like, whatever it might be, like being an ex-mental health nurse, as you know, 1 in 4 people have a mental illness and 1 in 10 people have some kind of depressive or behavioral disorder. And I think a lot of dads out there are living with depression, but it's called functional depression. They'll still go through the motions, they'll still go through it, but when they're on their own and they're all alone, they burst into tears or feel like crying or feel like they're not enough. And it's interesting because you mentioned like selling your business, thinking you've cracked it, but something was still making you not feel the right way. And it's interesting because I think you'd also lost purpose almost because your business was like your purpose. Every day you had something to do, a job, but blah, 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 blah. Now you're like, whoa, hang on a minute, what do I do now? So what advice can you give to someone? Because there's 2 questions there I want to ask you. The first one is what advice would you give to someone, a dad right now, who didn't want to ask for help because they felt it was weak? And number 2, what advice could you give to a dad right now who is literally feeling that they're at that point where they feel like giving it?
Great questions. I would say for somebody who thinks that they can't ask for help, I would say ask. Just ask. It sounds incredibly scary. And it is, to be honest, because you're a guy. It's hard to tell your pals who you go to the pub with that I couldn't find a receipt for £3.50 and I started crying. And my wife came in and went, what's going on here? £3.50, you can write that off. It's not even important. So that's really hard, but it's really important because I remember seeing a statistic a while ago, 72% of entrepreneurs suffer from some form of mental health issue.
Yeah, very true.
It's not just you. We are a funny breed. People that run businesses, we're not normal in some sense.
Not right.
And that's great because that drives us forward, but it also then kind of maybe takes us away from feeling that we can access what the rest of society are able to access. So I would say if you're struggling right now, go and speak to somebody. It could be go and speak to just a friend who is maybe another business owner and just say, you know what, it's a bit tough just now. You'd be surprised, and I'm still surprised, how many people are willing to give you help and advice. Just when you open up, being vulnerable, as unmale as that might be, it's actually they then suddenly go, well, hang on, let me connect with you. What can I do to help? Most of us are hardwired to want to help people. And when your friend says, this sucks, your automatic instinct is, well, what can I do to help? Now, maybe you can't help, but at least you can listen. They can listen and they can say, listen, come and talk to me. You see these posts on social media, I'm always here if you want to talk. Well, they're probably right. Go and do it. But if you haven't got a friend, go and chat to your doctor. Just go and have that. My doctor was great. She sat down and she said, right, let's go through this and let's take time and let's see what we can do. So that's my advice. Don't be afraid to get help.
Ask for help, definitely.
Okay.
And what if they felt like giving up? Like, as in literally just jacking it all in, jacking their business in, just calling it a day. Well, what advice would you give to someone right now?
Well, I'd say remember why you're doing it, okay?
Very good advice.
Just go back and remember why most of us will have set a business up to provide for our families. And jacking it in isn't going to help to provide for your family. In most situations, I would say the solution is not jacking it in. The solution is going in, there are lots of charities around for men's health, some really great charities. Dad's Mean Business, that's what we're on a mission to help dads to do this. Don't jack it in just yet. Go and there are lots of things you do. For example, just take a breath and look at your diary and look at what you're doing for the next week and find time. You should be able to find some things that you can delegate to somebody else or some things that you can postpone. Create a bit of a gap in the next week just to take a breath because we're so programmed to be delivering and fighting and providing for our families. We don't stop. And sometimes you need to just go, you know what? I'm taking a breath. I did that. My business partner was very supportive. I said, I'm going to take Monday off. He said, take the week off. Right? Very supportive. But just taking that breath and just thinking, right, let's just come up with what can I do for the next day? What's the one thing I can do for the next day to make this a slightly easier situation? Everyone's situation is different, but I do think taking a breath and postponing stuff that you do not need to do this week is a big help.
Perfect. I love that. And not everyone gives themselves permission to do that. So you've just heard it, okay? Take some time out, And look, you mentioned taking time out, which often people go, can't do that. What do you mean? Have you seen my schedule?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Truth is, though, if they were made to take time out tomorrow, like illness, tragedy, whatever it might be, most people would actually discover that even if you took a day off, your business will still be there tomorrow. You just know what I mean? But then just that one day off is like the reset you need to propel forward.
And you might not be there if you don't take the day off.
But this is it. See, look at this. This is really powerful. If you're listening, right, you might not even be there to take the day off next time, So, I know you. And you mentioned about talking, because I think the biggest fear for dads, and I know I've been through this as well, maybe some of you can align with what I'm saying, is the fear of being judged. And it's interesting because, like you said, you don't want to go and talk to your mates because they might judge you, label you, whatever it might be. What do you mean, Gordon? Like, you had all your stuff together. What's going on? Like, so you feel like, I don't want to be judged, so I don't talk. And it just gets worse and worse and worse, like a pressure cooker, and it just blows up. Now, I know you, I've known you for a long time now. It's not just how you do what you do, the strategy, helping them with not just the business side of things, but reconnecting with their family. It's who you are as a person. Because for me, when you're talking to people, I think you've really got to feel comfortable with who you're talking to. Now, I'm just going to say it how it is. If you're listening to this right now and you're getting any value from what we're talking about, find someone who makes you feel a bit more reassured, gives you permission to not be okay, gives you permission to be vulnerable in a safe space, which again, I think men, that we've always got this thing that we're, someone's the hidden agenda, someone's trying to, whatever it is, going to tell the world or going to grasp me up or going to make it public or I'm going to lose face, especially actual business owners are doing well financially. They feel like it's, they're going to get, found out, whatever it might be. Go and find someone who, like you, like Gordon, who you can trust, who you can talk to, because I know like you're a very caring man. Obviously you're a dad as well, but you can completely align with where people are going with this. So my advice to anyone listening to this right now is to go and seek someone that makes you feel comfortable as well. Like you said, like you sat down with your doctor and you just like, sometimes it's nice to sit down with someone who you know is not going to judge you. And it's better to go and speak to someone outside of your immediate circle. You'd pour more into a stranger than you would someone else, right? So Now, I'm not saying that everyone should ring Gordon up for some counselling sessions, but what I'm trying to say is that it's good to just take that first step. And sometimes when you lay it out, it's actually not as bad as you think. So if I was in a situation right now where maybe my business isn't going as well, but my family depend on the income from it. So I do want to spend more time with my family, but I have to keep on working here. What's one quick win you can give people who are in that situation right now that would help them at least, because one of the things that I like that you say is that you help people make more sales, grow their businesses without stealing, I like that word, stealing time from their family. So what could you do? Like one big tip, someone who's, their business needs to grow, they're struggling or whatever it might be, but they can't afford to really take time off, but they want to spend more time with their family. What's one big tip you can give someone right now to maybe have a little taste of what it's like to give your family some of your time?
Well, one tip I always suggest to people straight off is, it's probably a 2-step process. Step 1, document next week. Write down what you're doing next week, because you think that you're running flat out. Your identity is wrapped up in this business. No free time. It's all just hellish. But when you actually sit down, get an Excel file, and I use templates with people. So an Excel file from, say, 6 a.m. until midnight, and you basically say when you wake up each day and what you're working on, and you just map out your time, and you realize, jings, I spent 2 hours on coming up with some marketing for my social media thing that nobody looks at. Okay, well, maybe that 2 hours you can let go for a few weeks. If nobody's looking at your social media, maybe just let that. If it's not, nobody's looking at it, you're not generating income from it in your business, maybe just stop that for a few weeks and you've suddenly got 2 hours back.
100%.
Maybe you haven't realized that you're actually spending 3 hours binging on Netflix at night, and you go to bed, but then you binge, and these episodes are always set up with a hook at the end. You go, just one more. And suddenly it's 1 a.m. Maybe you could just cut that out. It's amazing what we can cut out of our week when we actually document the week. But we have to be honest. The easiest person to lie to is yourself.
100%.
So don't lie to yourself. Nobody else has to see this bit of paper, this Excel file, whatever. Just look at it and map down what you're doing for a week. If you can get through the next week of doing that, or even just a couple of days, I think you'll find there are some times in the day that you can win back. And that's when you can say, right, I'm not going to do that. And prioritize your time. And also, I keep coming back to it, remember who you're doing this for. You're doing it for your family or your spouse or whatever. Once you've got that, then spend a bit of time with them and enjoy that time. And here's the next thing. Give yourself permission to take those 2 hours off. Imagine what it'd be like if you could just take, say, the 2 hours on a Friday afternoon you do social media. What if you were to just take that off and go home, hang out with your family, and give yourself permission that you're not going to feel guilty and you're not going to take those 2 hours later in the evening once everyone's gone to bed? Because we all do that too.
Yeah.
Just stop for it.
I love that. I love this advice. Listen, if you're listening to this right now, take some notes. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. So it's interesting because you said this about, just enjoying that time with your family without feeling guilty. Because your brain never switches off, So it's, I did this weekend even. I don't typically work weekends or whatever, but doing what I do, my brain never switches off. There's always something that I want to do, or whatever it might be. But this weekend, my youngest son literally came into my bed, and for a whole hour, we just mucked about. No, for the whole hour, He likes watching this program called Grizzy and the Lemmings or whatever it is, blah, blah, blah. So Grizzy's a bear and the lemmings are always annoying him. So he said, I'll be the lemming, you be the bear, Daddy. I was like, okay, fine. And for a whole hour, we just mucked about being Grizzy and the bear, the lemmings or whatever it might be. And normally I'd go, this is not a good use of my time. Normally I'd go, whole hour, what could I have done in an hour? I could have checked my social media. I could have responded to a few messages. I could have done this. I could have done that. But in that moment, I completely let go of all, just completely let go of all. I didn't even know where my phone was. We were just having the fun, rolling about in the bed, having a laugh, tickling him, all this kind of stuff. Do you know what? The smile on his face after was, you can't put a price on that. You literally can't. And to also not feel personally guilty afterwards that I've wasted this time. Honestly.
It all kept spinning, didn't it?
100%. 100%. Everything carried on going. But it's just incredible that how many dads out there, you know, when we are with our kids, we're not with our kids. Do you see what I mean? Like, I've seen dads at parents' evenings, for example, like they're not even listening. They're like, you know, they're on their phones, they're checking emails, they're checking wherever, blah, 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 whatever it might be. I've seen parents, dads in the park, instead of watching their kids, you know, learn how to use a swing properly, they're still on their phones, they're checking, like they're not present. And it's because we feel like we can't put it down. We can't let go. We can't. So I love that don't feel guilty. Don't, like you said, the world keeps spinning, all that kind of stuff. These are really, really important things. And I think what we're kind of heading towards here is it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to ask for help. And it's okay to give yourself permission to maybe do some things that perhaps you wouldn't normally do, such as take time off, spend some time with your family, block it out, schedule it. Now, you spoke about scheduling, which I think business owners are good at, you know, booking meetings, putting stuff in their diary, looking busy. But, you know, we were talking about this earlier on, you know, being busy and doing the right things are two different things. And like you said, you might find yourself doing 2 hours of completely meaningless tasks that you could repurpose and give to your kids. You know, why can't you actually get everything done before 3 o'clock and be there for the school run? Why not? You know, what's stopping you from doing that? Why do you have to meet people, you know, at a certain time? So one of the things I've always used, which if you're listening to this right now might benefit you, and I know you coach people on this, is build your business around your lifestyle. Because as entrepreneurs, we forget we're self-employed. Who gets to dictate our hours? We do. So you can choose when you put your meetings in place and this and that, blah, blah, blah. Why do you need to go from 9 a.m. right through to 8 p.m. and then when you get home, you know, you're knackered, you're tired, your kids are probably already in bed, you know, you don't have any time for your partner, whatever it might be. Why does it need to be that way? It doesn't need to be that way. So why can't you actually, all right, if you've got loads of work, why don't you actually take a break between 3 and 5 or 3 and 6 or wherever it might be? Spend some time with your kids, put them to bed, wherever it might be. And then if you've got some more stuff to do, crack on with it later. So people don't schedule their time according to, you know, their family. They schedule it according to their business, you know. So I know you're very big on scheduling. You mentioned tools, you know, which I love. And I don't think there's many coaches out there that when you work with them, they give you actual tools to use as opposed to just giving you advice, you know. So people love tools, especially in the business world, get you more organized. So if I was going to, I don't know, map out my week around my family, not my business, where would I start? Like what would you say are the most important rocks, I like to call them?
Yeah, absolutely.
You should put in the diary around your family as a dad. Because remember, we're talking to you dads, okay? You know, you've got kids, you know. So what are the rocks that dads should be putting in their diaries right now before they schedule any business meetings or call?
Great question again. So just picking up on the rocks analogy, you may have seen this before, guys. It's available on the internet. You'll see it. You've got a jar and you've got rocks, pebbles, and sand. And if you put, what most of us do is so the rocks are the big things in your week, in your life that you need to do. The pebbles are the kind of important stuff, but not overly important. And the sand is the Netflix binging the nonsense that you don't need to do, but fills the time. The order that you put things into the jar or your diary dictates how much you can do. If you put the sand in first, and then you put the nonsense, then you put the pebbles in, small things that you kind of have to do but not urgent, and then you try and fit the big rocks in, you can never fit them all in. The rocks are hanging out the top, spilling over the jar. If you flip that on its head and you put the rocks in first, the most important things in your life, in other words, family time is one of the key pillars that I would suggest in, then fit the little pebbles round it. Then the sand goes in, it falls through all the gaps and it all fits in the week in the jar. So the rocks, I would say, I'm a big fan of eating with kids, family meal time. Big fan of that. Now, I actually got in trouble in social media a few weeks ago because people said, well, you're not catering for neurodiverse kids. I was like, well, that wasn't my intent. Absolutely not, okay?
You're never going to please everyone.
Indeed. But I still think it's a good thing to aim for. Now, we try and do it every single day in my house. Doesn't always happen. Today I won't be able to do that, but definitely once a week. Make sure that you have family time, and that family time has no electronics. The electronics are left at the door or away, and it's just a chance. And sometimes you're going to have great conversations. Sometimes you're going to have conversations about the favorite TV program, and it's going to be nonsense. Some people are going to be happy. Some people are going to be sad. That's called family life.
Yeah.
But it's memorable, and it's where relationships are formed. And that, I think, is really important. Eating together is, humanly speaking, eating together is really powerful.
Yeah.
So I think eating together is a big thing.
Yeah.
And yes, focusing some time. Also, well, there's 3 time periods I think you need to put in your diary every week first.
Yeah.
With your kids.
Yeah.
Make sure you get time with your kids. And that's not meeting. That's not eating. So you've got eating time for probably 4. Eating. Time with your kids. When are you going to hang out with your kids? It doesn't have to be like a big, expensive excursion. It could be just hanging out in the living room, watching TV, go to the park, kicking a ball, whatever, reading a book, watching their favorite movie again, still counts. So kids time with your partner, spending time with your partner, because they also get a rough deal with dads who own businesses.
Yes, they do.
And time for yourself. One of the main things that we suffer with as dads is we work really hard at keeping our businesses going. We work really hard at providing for our families, and then we forget about ourselves.
I love that.
So those, I think, are the main things. Your business will always be there. I have a little phrase. Your business is the ungrateful mistress. She'll never say stop.
This is true.
Spend time on yourself. She'll always go more.
That is a very good analogy. I like that. And on the look after yourself thing, I highly recommend any dad out there right now, start to look at some kind of self-care routine, something. Some of us, I don't know, it could be the gym. I know when I go to the gym, it's part of my self-care routine. Like I switch off from absolutely everyone. I stick my headphones on and I just do my thing. And in that time, I'm completely oblivious to everyone around me and everything else. Yep. And that's my self-care routine. It could be anyone. You do what works for you. It could be, I don't know, even if it is, I don't know, having a pint with your friends down the pub, whatever that thing is that where you can do it for you and not
with permission from yourself.
Yes, without asking for without feeling guilty afterwards or where it might be. I think it's beautiful. So have that self-care routine is really, really important. I loved the eating thing. As you were saying that, I was actually reflecting. I do that most nights with my kids. Like literally, it's like we all have dinner at the same time. And even if it's sometimes we decide to actually have dinner in front of the telly together, it's still together. Yeah. Just so I mean, it's not like I'm eating at this time, they're eating at this time, whatever it might be. And I'm a big fan. This. I love taking my kids out. Eating out with my kids. Because it's kill 2 birds with one stone. I've got to eat anyway. But rather eat over my laptop. I just take some time out. So I love all of that. So there's one more thing I want to touch on, because you mentioned it a couple of times, and I think people, when I say it, are going to resonate with it a lot. A lot of dads in business perform the art of escapism real well. And what I mean by that, you mentioned Netflix, for example. There are lots of behaviors that we engage in as dads when things aren't going our way to quote unquote escape what's happening. Like a form of deletion.
Yep.
Hope it goes away. For some people, it's binging on Netflix. For some people, sadly, it's alcohol. Some people turn to alcohol. They turn to drink. They turn to drugs. They turn to sex. They turn to all kinds of, literally, we try and find other ways to escape this reality of running a business, being burnt out, stressed out, tired, not having time for our wife, not having time for our kids, not having time for whatever it might be. So we engage in escapism. And I'm always a big believer of just own your stuff, be honest with yourself. We all make mistakes, and you can change that. We've all got an opportunity to change that. So working with dads, what are some of the things that you've seen that people are unaware that they're escaping to? Because we've all done it, right? We've all like you said, binging on Netflix is one of them, or whatever it might be. But are there any other forms of escapism that you've noticed, dads using through your work even?
Wow. I hadn't thought of it in that context.
Yeah.
Actually, bizarrely, pretending to work but not working.
There we go.
I think that would probably be one of the ones where we hide in our work. We hide from work in work, but we're not actually being productive.
We're stuck.
But we're kind of stuck there. So
looking busy.
Yeah. And the thing is, if you're struggling with your family or your partner, you'll stay at work a bit later.
I'm glad you said, literally, as you were saying, I'm thinking that some of us at times, because vicious cycle. We're not giving our partner that time.
Yep.
So sometimes we don't want to go home, do it, because we don't want to go into that environment, you know. So especially men, like, you know, ladies, bit of advice. We're not built for emotional warfare. Okay. Like, we're not. All right. So, and it's nothing wrong, because you're right. We're not giving you our time, and you have every right to call us on it. But what happens is it creates this vicious cycle now where, like you said, we escape to work, and because we don't want to go home, you know. And it's so funny, like when I was younger, my dad used to joke about this. Like when my dad used to drive, obviously you've met my dad, you've seen my dad. Like when he used to drive, he used to get stuck behind people. He drove really slow, and he was like, that guy doesn't want to go home to his wife. But as I grew up, I thought, hey, there's some truth in this, because you don't. And look, ladies, if you're listening, we love you. However, at times we've got to learn how to sort of like meet our needs as well. But that ownership also comes from the dad. I genuinely feel we should communicate more with our partners. Tell them how we're feeling. You know, tell them to be vulnerable. It's okay to talk and say, look, be honest. I actually don't want to come home. Like, I love you. I don't want to come home because I'm out there busting my backside every single day. I'm fighting every single day, firefighting at work, fighting to get business, dealing with employees, dealing with cash flow crisis, dealing with the taxman, dealing with all these battles. I don't want to come home to another war. And it kind of turns into this vicious cycle, you know. So I know, obviously, you work with these dads to spend more time with their kids as well, but as a default, it also ends up helping them spend more time with their families. Yep. So any dads out there who are escaping to their business because they don't want to go home, what advice can you give them to start making them feel like they can actually go home now? Because we end up feeling like we can't go anywhere at times, you know, and that's when things start to get a bit dangerous because people start to think some stupid things, you know, as you know. Yep. You know, so what advice can you give to any dads out there right now?
So if you're using work to escape from work, then I think it's probably conversation. I think communication is often at the root of that problem. That household environment has become a situation where it's like a communication free zone. Yeah. It's like the Faraday box has been built around the house and nothing can get in, and it becomes like a war zone or a no man's land. So I think having a communication. So number one, be honest with yourself. Stop hiding at work and pretending it's because you're busy and your job needs you.
You know who you are.
Be honest with yourself and say, I could go home if I really needed to or wanted to. And then go and have that conversation. It might be very uncomfortable, but have that conversation and just say, as you said, listen, this really sucks at the moment. But actually don't say it really sucks, because that's the wrong. It's about being more vulnerable, saying, I'm in a really hard place just now. I don't know what's going on, but I know that I'm struggling with this.
Yeah.
Can you help me, please?
Yeah.
Because normally we'd be able to, your partner would want, again, it's that human desire to help somebody. If you say, I hate talking to you, then that's a fight coming up.
Yeah.
But if you say, I'm really struggling with this right now, could you help me, please?
Yeah.
I think that would be one that
I really, really love that tip, because again, as men, we often start to resent our partners because we don't feel supported, right? But we haven't actually asked them for the help that we actually need, you know? So we feel like we're being nagged or whatever it might be, but we don't stop and say, hey, can you help? Can you help me? And that comes with being vulnerable and having that open conversation, you know. And ladies, look, if you're listening, you know, not that I'm a relationship coach or anything of that, but like sometimes it's good to work with us as dads, because like you said, we're not always as open to share what's going on, and sometimes we're not sharing because we want to protect, right? Like it could be going completely wrong, but we don't want to share because we don't want to get our partners worried and all that kind of stuff. So we're trying to do it and figure it out on our own. So we're scared to be vulnerable. So ladies, it also helps if you're listening, you know, to be a bit more forthcoming and asking your partner, like, what do you need help with right now? Or rather than go, look, you're not spending any time with me, what can I do to help you spend more time with me?
Absolutely.
Just that stuff like, just running stuff like that. That's music to our ears as dads. Then we actually feel like crap, like I've actually got support in my partner, you know. So So then we do want to open up. We do want to come home. We do want to, because she gets me or wherever it might be. So
it's partnership rather than confrontation.
100%. And I think that comes from, like you said, having those open conversations. And it doesn't have to be a fight. It doesn't always have to be an argument. It doesn't have to always be that way. It's about understanding and compromise, which is really, really important. You know? So look, Gordon, I could talk all day, but I think it's an important topic because we're living in a world where people need to earn an income, especially nowadays. However, I think giving people the gift of time isn't just going to benefit them with their family and loved ones, but because as an entrepreneur, what you really want is more time so you can go and actually do more leveraged things with your time, whether that's to invest more or start another business or grow your company. And a lot of business owners are working in their business, not on their business. So even if you freed someone's time, and one of the things you're good at is working with people over 90 days, and it's a big, bold promise, but it does it. Gets you to the point where over 90 days, you're able to actually ineffectively take a whole day off each week. You know, like, listen to me right now. If you're sitting at home and you're running around like, you know, a busy fool in your business, and you suddenly you find yourself, you click your fingers and you got a whole day off every single week, what would you do with that time? Now, here's an interesting, some of them wouldn't even know what to do with it.
Yeah.
They literally, what do I do now? Lost purpose. You know, we spoke about that earlier on. So one of the things you're good at is helping them actually get that time back, not just to spend time with their family, but then to do more leveraged tasks in their business and grow it properly rather than being, you know, a cog, you know, in the wheel, so to speak. So two things I'm going to ask or talk about. Number one, how can people get in touch with you or carry on following your journey, your social media, you know, connect with you, website, anything like that? Could you let the listeners know, please?
Sure. So the website is very simple, dadsmeanbusiness.com, and you'll find the links to our social media there. So we're on all the major normal social media sites. That's the best way to get hold of us.
Yeah, perfect, fantastic. And that should also be in the show notes as well when you're listening to the podcast. That will be there as well. The other thing I asked you to do, because I do. You know me, I openly talk about my background. I openly talk about my divorce, and I openly talk about all these things. So I do attract a lot of men who are going through relationship challenges or struggling, and they instead of actually taking ownership and going, right, what can I do to be more efficient with my time, make a better income so that I don't have these stresses, so I can, you know, effectively give my family some more of my time. Rather than taking ownership, we often blame, and we blame our partners, we blame this and blame it. So the thing you mentioned earlier about talking, because we were talking before we started, and you know, people don't have the right people to talk to, and they don't know who to turn to. Some people don't want to go see their doctor, to be perfectly honest, because their doctor's not going to help you with their business. They might, you know, try and give you some advice on your mental state or whatever it might be, but not going to help you with your business. And so who do we turn to? Like, who do we trust? Who do we talk to? And then this whole thing of cost comes up. People start going, hey, you know, well, how much is it going to charge? But we don't know, and people don't know. Now, I know you charge for your time, and I know you charge people for one-to-one consultations and things and stuff like that. But I've asked you to do a favor, two favors, okay, for people listening. Number one, if you're listening to this right now, and you must take Gordon up on this, because I don't think he's going to have many of these available. And if he does, happy days. If he doesn't, you've missed the boat. Number one, if you're listening to this right now, find someone to speak to. What you've done are two things. Number one, you've waived the fee for your typical consultation, for your initial consultation. You know, I think it's something like £500, whatever it is for that initial consultation. That's very generous. However, I've kind of pushed back a little bit because I don't want people to take advantage of your good nature. It's true. Gordon will talk to anyone. Like, he wants to help. Like you say, you just want to help. You want to help. But I don't want anyone to take advantage of his good nature. Here's what I want you to do. If you're listening to this right now, there's some criteria to claim this consultation session with you. And it's an actual session. It's not like some, you know, these little freebie tasters and then try and sell you something. It's an actual proper consultation with clear outcomes, getting clear on where you are right now, where you want to be, with a strategic action plan in place to leverage your time better and start getting on top of things. It's also an opportunity to just vent and let things out, you know, because like I said, once you've spoken, it actually doesn't seem as bad. Okay. So first of all, you got to understand it's a proper session. So it's not typically free, but you're waiving the fee right now, which is good. So that means you got to meet some criteria. Number one, you actually have a problem right now that Gordon can solve. For example, you're struggling with time, you're struggling with money, you're juggling lots of balls, your business isn't turning over what it should do, you're having sleepless nights, your family life has been compromised, you're feeling guilty, you're feeling like a failure, you're feeling like you're not enough. You've got to make sure you've got a problem that Gordon can help you with. That's really, really important. Number 2, you have to have a business that's actually in business, okay? Now, I don't mean to be horrible. There's lots of people out there right now that are working a job and they've got a little side hustle. That's not who Gordon works with, okay? Just so we're clear. He works with established business owners. So you've got to have an established business with a turnover, clearly, okay? And the third thing is you need to be motivated to get help. Yeah, you need to want the help, okay? He's not going to drag you through this session. You need to want the help. So somewhere around in the show notes, there'll be an opportunity or a link for you to click on that will send you directly to Gordon's diary, which will allow you to book in for one of these sessions. I can't thank you enough for even offering that to everybody who's listening. I think that's a massive, massive thing. And look, I've had the privilege of talking to you myself. I know you've got a very comforting way of helping people see through all the mist, but also not feel guilty about it and start to feel better. And look, they say a problem shared is a problem halved, and I think you're a good person to lean on in those situations. And also from a business perspective, which is really, really cool. Now, the second thing, so make sure you go and get that right now, okay? Get in touch with Gordon, have that session with him. It could last an hour, could last longer. I don't know. Depends on where you're going. You're there to serve them to a standard, not to a time. And I don't think you meet many people who are like that. The second thing that you've generously offered to do, if after that, and I'm pretty sure after working with Gordon, you're going to want to carry on working with him. If after that people need, some further mentorship, guidance, coaching, which you do, and you've got your 90-day incubator program, which people really, really love. You've also offered to do something for them that is not available to the public. If you mention to Gordon that you came from the Mind Over Money podcast, you're a friend and follower of Jessen's, you listen to this inspiring podcast, and you want to carry on working with Gordon, you've offered to give my listeners and followers a significant contribution towards the normal fees that they usually pay to work with you.
Absolutely.
Which basically means you're not going to pay what everybody else pays. That's only available exclusively to Mind Over Money podcast listeners. But you've got to mention the podcast, tell Gordon that you got in touch through listening to this great episode. And he'll also give you some support in funding your mentorship with him and your guidance. So look, don't be afraid, ask for help. Have that initial call with Gordon, which is a proper consultation session. You might not need him after that. It might be happy days. But if you do, you can carry on working with him at an incredibly reduced rate, which is really, really cool. So any last words for anyone listening? What if there's someone sitting on the fence right now still going, yeah, that's really inspiring. I enjoyed this. You resonated with me a lot, Gordon, but, I don't know what my first step is.
Well, my parting thought would be, think of your kids, okay? What are you teaching your kids about how they should set up their lives and run their lives? Because if you're working really hard and you're not spending time with them, they're learning that that's the way they should operate and run their life. That's a pattern they're going to learn.
Wow.
That, to me, alone is like, okay, I could stuff up my life, but I don't want to stuff up my kids' life.
Yeah.
I need them to not be in the problems that I've had. So think of your kids and think, what's it going to take to be able to teach them and model to them what it means to be there as a dad who also provides for them, but is there for them and can build solid relationships. Because the thing is, every day that passes, your kids are a day further or closer to leaving and not needing you. And if you wait 10 years till your business sorts itself out, you've probably lost that chance of that relationship and you've taught them some really bad habits. So think of your kids. That would be my recommendation.
Love that. What a beautiful note to end on. It's true. Who are we doing it for at the end of the day? And sometimes by the time we've quote unquote made it, they've already grown and flown the nest, So you can't get that time back. You literally can't get that time back. So listen, men, if you're listening and you're in business and you're a dad, seriously start to question what you're doing right now. Question what you're showing your kids. Question the patterns that they're actually picking up on, because at the end of the day, they're just going to model you, and that's not cool. So get in touch with Gordon. If you liked this episode of the Mind Over Money podcast, then obviously subscribe, like it. on your favorite platforms. Leave us a review on your favorite platforms. And the reason I ask you guys to leave reviews is not just about the podcast, but the guests like the incredible Gordon. Share some feedback. Share your feedback on the podcast overall, because there's a lot of noise in the podcast world. There's loads of podcasts out there, and people rely on the reviews to know whether they should listen to your podcast or not, which saves them time. So do leave a review, and obviously let your friends and family know about the Mind Over Money podcast. Get in touch with Gordon. Get in touch with him right now. Go ahead, grab that opportunity with him. I promise you, your future self will thank you for it. So until the next episode, remember to keep your mind over your money and your money on your mind. This is Jessen. This is Gordon. Appreciate you guys. See you next time.
You've been listening to the Mind Over Money podcast with Jessen James. Don't forget to subscribe and follow on all the channels, links in the show notes. Please also leave a review and visit www.jessenjames.com to find more resources on how to create the life you deserve.